What did it feel like to cross the finish line in my run across America? It felt like I had already been there, like I was supposed to be there. And the reason for that is because I had seen it so many times in my mind. I had visualized it. I had actually seen myself like a movie running through New York City, crossing the finish line over and over and over, tens of thousands of times probably. I had seen it before every marathon of every day that I ran across America. I had seen it before the start line. I was in California starting to run across America to New York. I had seen it in all of the training runs I had done, hundreds and hundreds of training runs. Before I even got to the start line, I had seen that. And that was the first thing, is like, you gotta believe it in your mind for it to become a reality in real life. And so I had seen that over and over and over. So getting to the finish line was just a matter of like, wow, this is freaking amazing. But yeah, this was the way it was supposed to happen. And it happened exactly like what I visualized over and over and over, including the weather. It was a beautiful sunny day, perfect temperatures in June. It was a beautiful day, just like I had visioned it. The only thing that was different in addition to what I had visualized was that my friend had given me a great big, huge American flag to run through New York City. And so the last 7 miles, I'm running through New York City with this big American flag, my truck following behind me that had a big Americana theme on it, red, white, and blue theme on it. And then I'm running with a small group of people. As we finished those last few miles and I crossed the finish line in the southern part of Manhattan in New York City, just like I had imagined it, plus the flag. And so I didn't get there by accident. I didn't just show up in New York City. It's like, wow, here, look at me. I ran, almost 3,000 miles. No, I hadn't got there by accident. I had actually got there because I had this amazing dream. And then I had to become it in my mind. I had to believe it and become it. And then I had to create it. I had to put in the work to make it happen. I've yet to meet a professional athlete that has yet to see themselves in the winner's circle or on the podium. You don't end up there by accident as a professional athlete. I've yet to meet someone who plays the piano amazingly beautiful that got there by accident. I've yet to meet a millionaire, a self-made millionaire that got there by accident. I've yet to meet someone with six-pack abs, wake up one morning, is like, yo, I just wake up with six-pack abs. No, it doesn't happen. All of these people, they had a dream. They visualized it. They saw it in their mind. They became it before it became a reality. And then they went and did the work to create it. Now, you may start with this thing. You must go, okay, I'm going to become a millionaire. As an example, here's a goal. I'm going to become a millionaire. I want to have $1 million in the bank. I want to have a side business, or I have my business, or whatever it is, however you're going to make it. But I'm going to have $1 million in the bank. And yet your mind is going to say, you're full of crap. No, I don't believe it. It's like, oh, you said this one before. Here we go again. Or another one, a weight loss. It's like, oh, you've tried diets before. This is your subconscious is saying this. You've tried diets before. This isn't going to happen. Well, yeah, of course, in the beginning, there's going to be a huge amount of resistance. You don't just wake up all of a sudden. It's like, wow, now I've become it. You don't just wake up like, I'm a millionaire, and that just happens in your mind. No, there's resistance. Now, your dream, that may be instantaneous. My dream to run across America happened in an instant. I've been looking for this huge epic goal. I wanted to do something truly amazing, truly extraordinary, something so big that was just like, holy cow, that's amazing. Even for me, I wanted to feel like, it's like, wow, that's the most extraordinary thing in the world. That I had heard about a guy who ran across America. I'm like, that's it. I want to do that. And I wasn't a runner at that time, so I didn't even have the background of being in athletics or running. So in 1 year, I trained to be able to run a marathon a day. Now, most people train for months, sometimes years, to run one marathon. I had less than a year to go from basically a couch potato. I was a carpenter before, so I was physically relatively fit, but by no means was an athlete of any sort. And so running was pretty much a brand new thing to me. And so 1 year to train to run across America. And that wasn't it. I also wanted to include a speech every day. I wanted to inspire audiences. I want to inspire audiences that are in challenges and overcoming difficult circumstances. So United Way, Hope for the Warriors, Wounded Warriors, addiction shelters, homeless centers, things like that. And so every day I would also give a keynote speech, anywhere from a 45-minute to a 90-minute inspirational talk. And so while I had already started my journey to learn how to become a public speaker. I wasn't at the level, I wasn't at a professional level yet. And so I also had to figure out, what kind of talk do I give? I have to write it out, script it out, practice it out. And I had to get that nailed down too before I left. And so marathon a day and a speech every single day. In fact, usually it started with the speech and then I'd run the marathon after most days. And so these are all the things I had to become in my mind first, but yet my mind's saying, you're going to speak to audience. How are you going to line up 100 talks? How are you going to run a marathon a day? You're a couch potato now. You're not a runner at all. So I had to overcome all of this resistance. And yet, how do you overcome this resistance? And part of it is you can have your incantations, your meditations, your visualizations, all of these different things. You could do these different things and they're all good things, but all of these things alone, you could meditate until you turn blue in the face, and yet nothing is going to change in your life unless you also become that thing, unless you believe it so strongly, and then you take the action, you create it in your life. So do the meditations, do the visualizations, the incantations, the mantras, do all of those things. Those are super important. Visualize the success that you want. You want $1 million? Visualize that. You want to lose 30 pounds? Visualize that. You want six-pack abs? Visualize that. You want to start a side business so that you could quit your regular job, work half the time and make triple the money? Visualize that. Those are all super important things. But the first thing is have that dream. Second thing is you've got to become that thing. You have to become that before it can become a reality. So you have to get past that resistance of your mind saying, yeah, I've heard this story before. Yeah, you've tried this before. Or other people planting seeds in your mind saying, no, I've heard people that tried that, they failed miserably. Or just go why are you going to leave your job? Stay with your regular job. You have a good job. It's safe. It's secure. And yet your dream is to start a business on the side to eventually quit your day job. But yet you have all of this garbage going on in your head, all of this negative self-talk, all of these other people that are giving you negative talk as well, that's programming you to not make a change. So let's use the example of losing weight. You need to want to lose 30 pounds. If you don't do anything, what's going to happen in 6 months, a year, 2 years from now? Nothing's going to change, right? So even if it takes you a year to lose 30 pounds, even if it takes you 2 years to lose 30 pounds, how much better are you off than if you did nothing? Well, you're 30 pounds lighter, you're 30 pounds more in shape, you're 30 pounds at less risks of all these different diseases that extra weight causes in your body. So you get all these things better, but you're actually double than that. You're better than that in double. And here's why. It's a double whammy. Because if you do nothing and you continue living the way you're living and you're already 30 pounds overweight, in 2 years, you're going to be 40 or 50 or maybe 60 pounds overweight. So you're not only going to not get better, you're going to be even worse. You want to become a millionaire or wealthy or financially free? If you don't do anything, you're not going to be in the same position you are now 1 or 2 years, 5 years from now. You're going to be worse off than you are now. Because if this situation you're in now has got you to where you are now, well, it's going to continue to degrade. It's continue to get worse. And so you're not going to be in the same place 1 or 2 or 5 years from now. You're going to be in a worse place. Same thing with relationships. Same thing with everything in life. So not only are you getting better, but you're keeping yourself from preventing. So you're actually going twice as far in the same amount of time. Most people don't think about that. So if you want to lose weight, as an example, then even if you are going so slow, it feels like you're not getting anywhere. You've got to put in the work. You got to put in the work mentally. So you got the big dream. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get into like the best shape of my life. So I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Great. That's your dream. Now you got to visualize it every day. You got to do your visualizations, your incantations, your mantras, your meditations, whatever it is that you like to do. They all work. They're all fantastic. Do all of them or do one of them. Choose whatever you like. Now you've got to do that. You've got to reprogram your mind. In the beginning, your mind's going to be like, yeah, you're full of crap. But then you keep saying it over and over. And you also create the reality by going to the gym every day, eating a little better every day, being more active every day. Then now you have the reinforcement. You have the reinforcement every day. So you have the mental changing in your mind, meditations, incantations, you have the visualizations, and then you're taking the action, and now you're creating irrefutable proof that you're moving towards your goal. You haven't achieved it yet, but you're moving towards your goal. And so when you're doing that between the mind work and the physical work moving you towards your goal, now you're reducing the resistance towards your dream, towards your goal. And so That's how you get there. And then when you create it, when you do the action every day, and you say you have the dream, you have the beliefs, you become it, and then you have the action, you're creating it. Even if you're not getting there fast, you'll still start believing it more and more. Less mental resistance, less mental gymnastics you have to go through to be able to get to the next step. And I'm reminded of this good story about when I was running across America, exactly to this point, is that when I was running across America, I was in Arizona or New Mexico, I forget where it was. But I came across like this sort of little mountain pass, and I came up over this plateau, and it was flat, straight road, super straight road, and very, very flat. And I could see these beautiful, majestic mountains, kind of a desert area, and you can see these beautiful mountains way off into the distance. And I'm thinking, I had no idea how many miles it was, but I was thinking like, I'll get there, probably not today, but I'll get there by tomorrow. And so I go and I run that marathon that day. And at the end of the day, I'm like, those mountains are just as far as they were when I started. I just ran 26 miles, and yet looks like it's just as far as when I started it. The mountains are slightly closer, but it's like I made no progress. But yet I made 26 miles of progress that day. But it didn't feel like it. It didn't look like it. And so the next day I was like, okay, maybe I won't be there tomorrow, but I'll be there, I'll be close by the end of the day tomorrow. And so I go out and run another marathon the next day. And at the end of the second day, running down this super straight, flat road in the desert, high plain desert, and I go and I run down that way. And the end of the second day, I'm looking at these mountains, I'm like, yeah, they're a little closer, but holy cow, those things are still so damn far away. I was like, man, I ran 26 miles 2 days in a row. So I ran over 50 miles. And yet those mountains, they're closer, but man, they feel like they're going to be far away. And so the next day I go run a third day. And I was like, okay, I gotta be at the at least at the base of the mountains by the third day. And at the end of the day, I run another marathon, so 26 more miles that day. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm close, but I still had pretty far to go. And it was on the fourth day that I got to the base of the mountain and started climbing the mountains. So you may not feel like you're making progress. It may not look like it, may not feel like it. You may not even be getting the feedback you want to making it happen. And yet if you're doing the work, you're putting in the steps, you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing, you're getting closer. And remember that you're always getting closer as long as you're taking the steps it takes. Now, there'll be setbacks and there'll be problems and there'll be challenges, and that's part of life. Life is never going to be free of problems and challenges and setbacks. But the idea is that you're moving closer and closer and closer to your dreams and your goal of life, the kind of lifestyle you want to live, and have a better quality of problems. A lot of people have very, very low quality problems, and they repeat those same low quality problems over and over. The idea is that you get better problems, you get a better level of problems. There's always going to be challenges and difficulties, but you don't want to always stay in those same repeating low-level problems. You want to have higher-level problems and higher-level problems. And then eventually those problems aren't really going to become problems at all, even though you may have challenges in life. It's just like, okay, it's something I got to deal with. It's just like it's another step in the path. It's another mile in the trip. And so it's just like, okay, it's something I got to deal with. It's not something I want to deal with it, but whatever. And so you get to that point. So it's not only the physical part of doing, but it's the mental part of becoming so mentally strong, so disciplined, so resilient in your mind that even the challenges, even the days that you don't move any closer to your mountain, not even to climb the mountain, but even to get close to the mountain, even those days you have so much mental strength, so much mental resilience. And it's like, okay, let me just deal with this, and you keep moving forward. As Confucius said, it is not how slow you go as long as you keep moving forward. I might be paraphrasing that. It doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you keep moving forward. And you've got to be taking those goals. So whether it's money goals or it's fitness goals, relationship goals, side business goals, regular business goals, or anything else, inner peace goals, happiness goals, whatever it is, you've got to keep putting those steps in and moving it. So the first part is to have the dream. Number 2 is to believe it, to become it. And number 3 is to create it. That's the action. And so those are the 3 steps. And I've never met anybody who's successful who hasn't had those 3 basic steps. And everything else is enveloped in that big, broad concept. Got to have the dream. You got to have something to move towards. You've got to have meaning in your life. You got to have a purpose. Whatever that is, that may be a purpose of life in general or the purpose of this day, this week, this month, this year, whatever it is. And then you've got to believe it. You've got to see it in your mind, and you've got to become it before it becomes reality. Like I saw the finish line of New York City in my head thousands, if not tens of thousands of times before I even crossed the finish line. And I would visualize that as I was running over and over and over. And then the third one is you got to create it. That's the action. You've got to take the action. And the more action you take, the more irrefutable proof that you'll have that you're moving closer. And the more the resistance, the mental gymnastics, the mental garbage that goes on in your mind, the more that will fade away over time. You do these things, and you can't achieve anything amazing without these three. But when you do these things, you'll accomplish amazing goals. So what is that goal for you? Comment below what the goals are for you, that either that you've accomplished or that you want to accomplish. Let me know. What are your challenges? Knowing your challenges will sometimes help you. Comment that below too. And so how have you seen these things show up in your life? So number one is to have the big dream. Number two is to believe it. You've got to become it in your mind first. Number three is to create it, is to take the action, create irrefutable proof that you're moving towards your goal until you cross that finish line one day and you've actually achieved it. Comment below how that showed up in your life, or comment below how that will show up in your life into the future, how you'll use it going forward. I'd love to hear your comments. I want to see your comments because I will read all of them, and I do comment on almost everybody that I can. And so go ahead and comment below. And if you haven't got it yet, go ahead and click the link below, or go over to my website, croysather.com. But click the link below and get my 7 success habits. These are 7 audios, 7 days of the 7 success habits that's going to make a massive impact in your life. So if you haven't got those yet, completely free, go ahead and click the link below, or go over to croysather.com and click on free gifts at the top to your major amazing success.